InObscuria.
Welcome back, my friends, to the InObscuria podcast, a podcast where we exhume obscure rock and punk and metal, and we put them in one of three categories: the lost, the forgotten,
Who? What was that?
or the should have beens. Was that an R? I think I just went pirate on you.
Surprise
Or
pirating.
The should have beens. My name is Kevin Williams, and right over there, it's him.
Hi.
It's Robert Harrison.
I'm waving. Hello. Hello, everyone.
Wave to the microphone.
Wave to the microphone.
Wave to the people.
That always works.
It's all about the people today.
Yes.
Oh, man. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Been a nice quiet week so far, which, I need to work on tomorrow, then make it not so quiet. We'll have to stir things up. I don't know. It's just been one of those weeks where everything's been going okay. It makes you real nervous that, okay.
Yeah, that just hearing about that makes me nervous.
Something's coming this weekend, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I don't know. The air today seems a little bit
Yeah, I think that's
nicer.
part of it.
The climate seems a little bit better. I don't know why that is.
I don't know. I've been avoiding all of it, like the like the COVID.
Like the COVID.
Probably just as much just staying home, not touching my face, not touching the Facebook, or, just kind of just laying low. And I think it's time to, we're having a renaissance now. Once COVID starts to move out, once the politics kind of die down a little bit, I think there's going to be kind of a regeneration, a refreshing.
A reprieve from all the bullshit.
Yes. And the spring's going to be
what we
wonderful. I bet it's going to be vaccinated. It's going to be a fun time. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so we're starting to hear of folks that we know get vaccinated. I hope wherever you are, I hope people you love are getting vaccinated as well.
Yeah.
And we can move on. And hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could go see some shows again?
That'd be nice. I mean,
Wow.
The problem is you and I are way down the list because of the age thing. We're not going to get ours for a long time. They're doing 65 and above, so it's going to be like 5 months before we get ours because we're at the low end, right?
Yeah, probably not. I think we're next.
We're next. Like, son of a, it's good and bad. I'm not going to be happy about that, but I'll be happy about it. So.
Exactly. So go out there, get vaccinated, get back to normal, and let's start doing some rock and roll again.
You want to give a shout out to what we were just talking about?
Sure. Yeah. Let's talk about Pod of Thunder.
Yeah, those guys pulling out the big guns when they mentioned us, didn't they?
They had Chris Jericho on. Whenever you're listening to this, the week that we're recording this, they had Chris Jericho on. They were doing an Extreme song, and
Extreme the band.
Extreme the band.
Yeah, the song itself wasn't that extreme.
And there was a comment made by Mr. Jericho about comparing Extreme to Living Colour, and that there weren't that many bands doing that kind of funk rock metal thing at that time. And Chris Lathrop said, well, actually, InObscuria podcast has done a whole bunch of episodes on these types of bands, but I just thought it was really cool. So thank you to them.
Chris mansplained to Chris Jericho. Wow.
He did.
That's some cojones there.
He said he had to set Tooge straight. They call him Tooge.
Tooge?
Yeah. Don't ask me why.
Okay, that's a long story.
It's probably a long story.
They set Tooge straight. I like that. By referencing us.
By referencing us.
That's awesome.
And I told him, I sent him a note and said, well, you should have also told him that I was the jackass standing front and center at the Fozzy show with a Stuck Mojo t-shirt on in front of Rich going, what's up, man?
I don't know who this guy is that's singing, but I like you.
While I'm like praising Rich Ward's tone and wearing his old band's t-shirt. Meanwhile, Chris Jericho is the front man for Fozzy looking at me like, what the hell's with this guy? Wrong band, dude.
It's like, I guess going to a Van Halen concert, the Hagar with the Montrose shirt on or something, looking at Eddie going, no, Montrose, yeah.
Yeah, right in front of, standing in front of Sammy going, wow, you're here. I don't care about this noodling I'm here.
Yeah, with all noodling over there. There's that guy. He's a little hyper.
So that was really cool. Thank you for that, Pod of Thunder, guys. And guess what? Go listen not only to Pod of Thunder, but also go out there and listen to Growing Up Rock, the Slam Fest podcast, Decibel Geek, Metal Up Your Podcast, The Dummy Room, Podcast Rock City, Cobras and Fire, The Lipstick Panel, Rock Strikes 10, History Science Theater, Podkist, I Love It Loud, Cast, The Synaptic Empire. I almost ran out of breath.
Pretty patient. You need to start yoga, man. Seriously.
I probably do. And don't forget about Monty's Rockcast. Come visit us at InObscuria.com. Like us, share us, recommend us, all the socials. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and we got taken off Parler, so sorry, we're not.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wait, Parler got taken off.
Oh, that's right. That doesn't count. My goal is still to get kicked off social media at least once.
Whew. Well, I got to tell you, I took a little visit to one of my favorite establishments today. Yes, I
Was
went
it
to
the one with the bubble gum on the floor?
yeah, we went to the Estelle Donut and Occult Shop.
No, it's Austell.
The Estelle
Yeah,
Donut.
we're in Georgia. You have to
Sorry.
pronounce it correctly. It's
Sorry.
Austell, Austell.
Well, I'm the one that lives there. But yes, I went to the Donut and Occult Shop today. They had an astrology class.
Oh,
Yeah,
people are
so-
starting to get back together
Yeah,
again. That's nice.
so yeah, we were all wearing black masks.
Black masks.
You know, and robes, you know, as you do. Got my donut, and I'm learning all about astrology, which I know nothing about. So I thought, oh, this is a new way maybe to get some content. We're going to look into the heavens.
Mm-hmm.
Not only reach out to the beyond, but look to the heavens maybe. And I saw all these cool constellations, and they were talking about the power of them. And I saw this one, and I was like, what's that? Because I know what that is.
The Big Dipper.
And the lady goes, that's Taurus. And I'm like, no.
Taurus, like Ford Taurus or Taurus.
But
Oh,
I thought
Jesus.
it looked like something else.
Oh,
I thought it looked like
rock and roll devil
the
horns.
rock and roll devil horns in the sky, and I'm like, that's the one I'm going to
We
look
like
to.
to call it Dio
The
hands.
Dio fingers,
Dio fingers.
the rock and roll fingers. But
Oh,
apparently it
that's-
was Taurus.
That was
But
Taurus.
I'm going with the other, and it got me thinking. I'm inspired. I think we need a tribute to the gods.
Yes.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do episode 62, another covers from beyond, but this is a tribute to the gods.
Amen. We're bowing down.
We are bowing down.
All
this
hail
week.
the gods.
So we're going to talk about not just bands doing various covers, but we're going to talk about tribute albums. Because that's a big thing. It's been a big thing for about 30 years now, where there's sometimes bands, sometimes solo artists, and a lot of time it's just some major supergroup collaboration of artists who get together and put a song on a tribute album that's, you know, just badass. And a lot of this goes on in the metal world, but there's also other rock compilations of, and we did one in our last covers
Yes.
episode. We did the Led Zeppelin one that came out in the 90s, and there were actually a ton of them in the 90s. That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about these tribute albums, and, you know, again, some of these will be artists, solo kind of stuff. Some of them will be just crazy collaborations. And we even did one on our holiday episode. We did the Lemmy one. But anyway, let's jump into it. I thought maybe before it might make sense to look at one of these lists that I find online. And I went where everybody goes, which is iloveclassicrock.com. Since we're doing tribute to the gods, we're talking about the classic rock artists. We're
I
talking
love some classicrock.com at this point.
So I go there and I'm looking at a list that's called the top 5 coolest classic rock tribute bands of all time. Have you ever seen a tribute band?
Are you talking about like the Bon Jovi tribute band,
Yeah.
Slippery When Wet? Or,
Yeah.
it's our local.
You seen any of those?
Yeah, I saw they were one of the oldest ones that I remember. They've been around for probably 15 years, and that's the first time I saw a tribute band. I'd seen cover bands that do all kinds of covers, but then this Bon Jovi, that's all they did was Bon Jovi. And I was like, when you get tired of playing the same damn songs? But they made a lot of money from it and did really well. So yeah, we've got in our musical family, Jeremy's band.
That's right. Color in the Shape,
Color in
who
the Shape.
are a Foo Fighters tribute band.
Few Fighter, and then who else? Do we know anybody else? There was
Kent was in he was in Siamese Dream.
Siamese Dream, and then I know somebody that's in the local Pink Floyd tribute band, Interstellar Echoes, and they're really good, by the way. So they're regional. They play in Southeast. So yeah, I think that's about it as far as people I actually know in tribute bands.
And this is a thing that's been going on pretty much since the late 80s. I don't think it really existed before then.
No, I don't
because
remember
classic
then.
rock was
Well, wait
old.
a minute. There was the Kiss tribute band,
Strutter?
Strutter.
Well, we're going to talk about that
Okay,
in just a
well,
second.
I'm jumping
But
the
yeah.
gun. But anyways, I was thinking something in the 80s. That would be about
Yeah.
one of the few that I knew about way back when.
Yeah, so, and then you and I, a couple of years ago, we were supposed to go see Brit Floyd, which is a British Pink Floyd tribute band, but I can't remember, for whatever reason, it canceled or something.
That was
happened.
pre-COVID, too. There was another reason.
Yeah, there's some other reason. But anyway, this is the top 5 coolest classic rock tribute bands of all time. So a lot of these, at least in the States, they tour the entire U.S. and they're relentless touring machines. That's what they do. That's how they make their money. So we're going to go with number 5. You just mentioned them. The number 5 coolest classic rock tribute band of all time is Strutter. And they were actually formed in 1988. I actually have a documentary called Kiss Loves You, which is a weird Kiss documentary. And it's about tribute bands, and Strutter's actually featured in that along with a bunch of other ones. And there was quite a competition with all of these bands for Kiss prior to Kiss putting the makeup back on, because that kind of killed the whole thing.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
what was going on was Kiss had taken the makeup off. They were doing mostly their 80s content in concert, and people wanted to relive those old 70s Kiss shows. And so, you know, bands like Strutter would give you a version of Kiss, like a club version of Kiss maybe what Kiss would have been like in 1974.
See, in a smaller
in a
venue,
small
not an
venue,
arena.
doing all the theatrics, but on a budget. So I actually saw them at Masquerade in Atlanta.
You did?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I saw them probably 1995, so about a year before Kiss reunited.
Came back and just wiped them off.
Basically just shut all these things down.
What about the midget Kiss?
Oh, yeah, Mini Kiss?
Mini Kiss?
Or something like
Kiss,
that.
Yeah, there was... That was an offshoot of it.
Yeah. No, I never saw them. I don't even think they played. I think they just...
It was just a one-off thing.
I think they just...
Well, Strutter got to feel what it was like when grunge came out.
Exactly.
Just like all of a sudden they're like, what? We don't have a job?
Well, and like I said, if you go look at that documentary, it's a little bit of a sad documentary because it focuses on the weird side of Kiss fans.
What?
Yes.
I thought they were so normal.
Yeah. Anyway, go see Kiss Loves You. It's bizarre. All right, number 4, they have, I never saw this band, but this sounds cool. They have a band called the Atomic Punks. And they came out in the early 90s. They were a Van Halen tribute band. And their shtick was, this is when Sammy was in Van Halen, so they were doing nothing but Dave. So they did all the old 80s Van Halen.
I see how that works.
They dressed up, did the whole part, had all the tricks that Van Halen did, and they would tour around the entire country doing this. They must have been really good because David Lee Roth actually hired their first guitarist to tour with him on, I think, a tour or two. And then the guy that replaced him in the Atomic Punks, he hired him as well a tour or two later. So remember when David Lee Roth was touring with Sammy Hagar? It was like a double bill thing in the maybe late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere around there.
I am drawing a blank on that. I didn't know they toured together.
Yeah, they didn't get along very well. So
imagine
it was,
that.
Imagine
Two
that. But
massive personalities not getting along.
And it was interesting because it was Sammy doing Sammy music, no Van Halen, and Dave doing basically mostly Van Halen. Which is interesting. But yeah, he took one of these guys out with him on that tour. I never got to see them, but they're at the number 4 spot. Number 3 is a band called Livewire, which I just assumed that must be a Motley Crue. It's not. It's it's a New York-based AC/DC tribute band. And they're actually, like the Pink Floyd tribute bands that we mentioned earlier, they're actually sanctioned by the band. So they actually are featured on the AC/DC website as a sanctioned tribute band.
Yeah, I think Roger Waters allows them to use images and videos and things like that from actual concerts. If Brit Floyd or
the Australian Pink Floyd.
I was trying to remember the other one. Australian Pink Floyd and Brit Floyd. Yep. So yeah, they're kind of got a tacit approval from Roger on that.
Now the number 2 spot goes to a band that I've seen flyers for years, but never saw them. It's a band called Zoso.
I've heard of that. Yeah, they've toured around for a long time.
I remember seeing their flyers at college.
Yeah,
I think they've been around
that was
long.
college.
Yeah,
and I had no idea what that was. I was just learning about Led Zeppelin.
That's a weird name.
Well, that band's kind of so-so.
Yeah.
All right.
So Zeppelin tribute band, and they've played over 2,500 shows. So yeah.
So that's a safer bet, is to cover or be a tribute band for a band that's gone completely. Don't let them come back and take your job.
And they specifically look like the version of the band that you were talking about at their prime. Playing Madison Square Garden in 1975. So they dressed that part of how they looked for the Song Remains the Same film.
Well, wait a minute. At the same exact time as that band was touring, there was a band called Dred Zeppelin.
That's right.
Do you remember that?
I do remember Dred Zeppelin.
Elvis impersonator.
Yep.
Singing.
Fat Elvis was his name.
Fat Elvis singing Led Zeppelin songs to a reggae beat. And they would sell out shows too. It was I never saw it, but he's a good entertainer. I
never saw it either. I know it was a big college draw. They actually had a couple albums that did pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
And they were just cover albums with them doing reggae.
Reggae with an Elvis impersonator.
Right. I believe it was Glenn Danzig singing.
It's really close. It's when it was his off days. He was doing a solo tour then.
Now, the number 1 band is, I haven't seen them live, but I've watched lots of YouTube videos of this band. They've been around for a long time as well. They're called the Iron Maidens. Have you ever seen the all-girl tribute band to Iron Maiden?
No, but you have my attention.
Yeah, you need to go check them out. Not only are they amazing and play Iron Maiden music like nobody's business, almost better than Maiden themselves, but they're very good.
They're easy on the eyes.
Very good looking women. And
very nice.
Nita Strauss, who is now in Alice Cooper's band, that's where she came from. So she's...
Oh, yeah, she's badass.
Yeah, she's a badass.
And easy.
Pretty hot.
Yeah. Very nice. That's
yeah,
very nice.
So anyway, the Iron Maiden is number 1. All right, let's get into it.
I was going to say, there are some bands out there that are the original band, but they're basically a tribute band because there's no original members left.
This does happen, yes.
Foghat is the first one I always think of. There are no original members in that. Leonard Skinner's almost that way. There's one original member left. So if they ever start
I think
playing
they're
again,
done.
they say that, yeah. But like I said, those are the newest tribute bands or old bands that just have regrouped over the years.
Yep. Well, let's get into some of these albums. Did you purchase any of these albums, especially in the 90s? I think we talked about the Zeppelin one. We talked about a few others, but were there any that you owned?
I didn't own it. I had it in my possession for a while, the Led Zeppelin.
The Encomium.
Yeah, it might have been my roommate at the time, Jim. So
well, another one that we've mentioned, I'm going to start with, and that is the Stone Free, a tribute to Jimi Hendrix.
Well, I was going to bring that up. I just found that. Remember?
Oh, so you do have that.
So you and I talked a couple of weeks ago that I remembered this CD that I used to have, and I loved it, and I was going to ask you to burn me a copy of it. And then in that box that I showed you the other day of these CDs randomly from the 90s, that it's in there. So yeah, I need to just go get the box for one episode and just read the names and laugh at each one of these CDs that I found that I used to listen to.
Yeah, so this is a tribute album that came out in 1993, and it has all sorts of groups on it, like The Cure, the Spin Doctors. So it's bands of that time.
Yeah.
Body Count's on it, Living Color.
Body Count had never heard of that until then, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, this is badass. Is it Ice-T or
Ice-T? Yeah.
Ice-T. Yeah. Like I never heard that heavy. This was before rap metal in the later 90s, so this was early on as far as blending those two.
Yep, absolutely. And there's also a band on there that you may not know who they are because they went by kind of a weird name. They went by the name M.A.C.C.
Mm-mm.
You remember that band?
No, I have to go.
So this is the very last song on the disc, and that's what I'm going to play from. So M.A.C.C. is also known as Temple of the Dog, who are also known as half of Pearl Jam and half of Soundgarden.
Mm-hmm.
So Mac is their initial. So it's Mike McCready, Jeff Ament from Pearl Jam, Matt Cameron, who was then in Soundgarden, now he's in Pearl Jam, and Chris Cornell. So they, for some reason, called themselves Mac instead of Temple of the Dog, even though that was, I believe, out by that point. But yeah, so they put out this version of Hey Baby, Land of the New Rising Sun. And if you're not familiar with that song, it's a Jimi song that was put together almost ready to be put out on his last album before he passed away. So his last album never actually came out. And they put out various versions of it. They tried to finish the work. Mm-hmm. And then when his family finally took over, I forget what they call it, the Hendrix Trust or whatever it was, when they finally took over all the recordings and started putting out content again in the late 90s, this was one of the first ones they put out. And it was intended to be his final album called First Rays of the New Rising Sun. This song's called Hey Baby, Land of the New Rising Sun. So let's hear a little grunge take on some Jimi Hendrix. What do you think?
I love it. I can't wait. this is the part, or one of the parts, I should say, of doing this podcast that's just amazing. I love this shit. I have not heard that song in 20 years. At least 20 years. I got that CD, and first of all, the first note, you saw my reaction. I mean, the millisecond into that.
Right away.
Yeah, because by the name, I didn't recognize what it was going to be, but as soon as I heard that sound, back then, in 93, I think I listened to this song twice a day. It was in the CD player of my aging Camaro, and which is on its last legs, just about complete falling apart. But yeah, so I was in Florida, Daytona Beach, hating life. I hated life there, but this song gave me a little bit of refuge, this whole CD. So yeah, funny parts are back then in 93, I didn't do a lot of research. I didn't have you at the time to tell me all the info. So I just bought the CD because it said Jimi Hendrix. And that's all I needed to know.
Were you a Hendrix fan?
Yeah, by then, and you've seen the albums that I've got framed on the wall. So just a few years earlier, I had started buying Hendrix albums for $1.99 back then. And all of a sudden, this new CD comes out about Jimi Hendrix. Once again, not really realizing it's a tribute album until I buy it, read the liner notes, but I thought, honest to goodness, I thought this was Jimi Hendrix playing, that somebody had sang over his playing, like they had just found these tracks or something, because I'd never heard the original song.
Right.
Unlike,
it sounds so Hendrix.
Let me stand next to your fire, something like I would have known that was a cover. But yeah, so the guitar playing on this was amazing.
Yeah, Mike McCready. And you can hear it in Yellow Ledbetter. I mean, it's such a Hendrix ripoff, Yellow Ledbetter to me.
Tribute. It's a tribute, not a ripoff.
I actually wonder if they recorded this and that around the same time. Because it really feels the same. Damn it,
you're right. I never thought about that. You are absolutely right. That's really the sound, the tone, the quality.
But how awesome is it that he can get that close to a Hendrix tone?
Well, Ledbetter was 94. 93, 94.
It had to be. It was, I think, a B-side for 10. Right?
So within a year of each other, maybe less, because I think I got both of those CDs at the same time.
Same guitar tone, same. You can hear the noise of the amp when he's not playing. I love that.
Absolutely.
I love that it's just
authentic.
It's just them in the room. They didn't try to deaden anything.
And that's 100% what's missing on anything made guitar-wise, tonal-wise in the past 10 years. There's a few bands, obviously.
Yeah, there's
like
some
Greta Van
bands
Fleet,
that aren't. Yeah,
but I'm saying mostly these heavy songs that they're not bad songs, but the tones lose me.
Just horrible.
Yeah, it's all
just
digital.
Dialed in.
Yeah, it's too perfect. But God, thank you. That's, oh my God, that just put me in the best mood.
Awesome. And no argument, I guess, that this is tribute to the gods. Jimi Hendrix is definitely one of the gods of rock and roll. I mean, come on.
No, he's way up there on the throne.
Now, I'm wondering if you'll agree with this next band, but I put them way up on the list as well, because I think this band had as much to do with heavy metal being a thing as Black Sabbath did, and I'm talking about Deep Purple. And in 2012, there's a tribute album that came out called Remachined, a tribute to Deep Purple's Machine Head. So this is basically a bunch of collaborations or bands playing each song from the album Machine Head, which
version of the band was it? Mark 1? Because I see it referred to as Mark 1. Mark 2, Mark 3.
Right? So this is...
Coverdale?
No, Coverdale's Mark 3.
3, okay.
So this is Mark 2. This is Ian Gillan on vocals, but this is a tribute where they're basically playing track by track. They're recreating the album Machine Head that came out in 72, which everybody knows Smoke on the Water. This is the album that Smoke on the Water was on. And so this tribute album comes out, and it's right around the time that one of my daughters was born. It was when Winter was born. So I remember getting this in the mail almost the same week that she was born. And, you know, you don't get a lot of sleep when you got a newborn. So
I've heard.
I did a lot of listening.
Don't know from experience.
I did a lot of listening to this one.
And shout out to our friend Brandon Still, who is
congratulations.
He's a father.
He's a
new
papa.
Father. Everybody's happy, but just a quick shout out to segue on that.
Teddy Still.
Love
it. Yeah, so anyway, I remember listening to this album a lot, and it features big groups. So you've got not only some collaborations, but you also have Black Label Society, Metallica, Santana, Chickenfoot, who were a thing at the time. Talk about a collaboration.
No, Sammy, Joe Satriani.
That's right.
Chad
Smith
from Chili Peppers.
And Michael Anthony.
Oh, that's right. I knew that I was leaving out somebody important.
Yeah, somebody really important.
Really important.
Did all the backgrounds. And then this band is also on there. This is not an obscure band, and I'm pretty sure you're going to know who this is, but to hear this band do Space Truckin',
You know, I still have a little bit of PTSD whenever I hear Bruce Dickinson's voice.
From the Stone?
Yeah, from the Stone.
We told that story, but we went to see Iron Maiden 2 years ago, and Robert just happened to be passing a kidney stone the same day.
During the concert.
During the concert.
So I was enjoying myself while having bouts of searing abdominal pain. Then it would go away, and I'd have a few minutes of, yeah, this is great. Oh, God! It didn't matter. I was like, I'm going to be at pain at home, or I'm going to be at pain watching Iron Maiden. That's it.
It was the most passionate Iron Maiden viewing I've ever seen.
Ow, woo, ow. But there were a lot of beer and drugs kept me up and going, and it was a good time.
And we were drinking Iron Maiden brew, right?
It was really well themed. We planned well.
We did.
The older we get, the better we plan.
Mm-hmm. We had Megadeth beer, a Tulamon beer, and we had Trooper beer and one other. I can't remember what the other one was. It was maybe the Metallica.
The Metallica, yeah. So mixed with painkillers. Really good painkillers. But back to the song, they did a great job of keeping the music authentic to the actual original song without sounding too much like Iron Maiden. But Bruce can't help himself at very end, very much Bruce Dickinson, Iron Maiden. So it was good to put their stamp on it, because obviously if it sounds exactly like the original, what fun is that? The purpose is for them to give their flavor, their interpretation of it, of course.
Yeah, and it's cool to hear that song without the organ. And
I didn't even think about that. You're right.
That's something you definitely miss in most covers. Yes. If you don't have the organ for Deep Purple, it kind of misses something.
That's a big part of all their music.
But they have 3 guitars in Iron Maiden, so they made up for it.
Yeah, there was enough sound there. There's plenty of sound.
There's a whole lot of sound there. Yeah. Speaking of whole lot of sound, now we're going to go to a little album called, well, it's had several titles actually, so let's talk about this. So there's a couple of folks who put out tribute albums almost like that's what they're put on the earth to do. And one of these persons that does this, or I guess he's no longer with us, but Bob Kulick. You know who Bob Kulick is?
Yes.
So Bob
Kulick did
a
stint in your favorite band.
Yeah. So he originally tried out for Kiss, and he lost out to Ace Frehley back in the day. I couldn't have seen a bald guy in Kiss anyway. I don't think it would have worked.
Well, all wear wigs anyway.
But well, they do now.
Yeah, and Gene's pretty much chrome dome, except for a wig.
Maybe not in '74, but
yeah.
Anyway, Bob would.
Oh, was he bald back then?
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah,
oh,
I think
no. Gene was like, no, thank you.
Yeah, so he actually did a lot of ghost work though on Kiss albums. So he is the guitarist on the Alive 2 studio tracks. He did all that. He did Paul Stanley's solo album. He's on a Best Of where they had 4 new songs called Killers. That's all Bob doing those. And then he was also a guitarist on Creatures of the Night, which is an album that came out in the early 80s when they were kind of in between guitarist and before they got Vinnie Vincent. So he was never really credited except for the Paul Stanley solo on those, but everybody knows it's him. And then he also gave them the name of his brother, Mr. Bruce Kulick, who was actually in Kiss from 84 to 96. So a lot of ties to Kiss. In between,
hey, my brother has hair.
Exactly. And he plays just like me.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, both great guitarists, they actually don't sound that similar, their playing style, which is interesting because you would expect brothers to pretty much sound the same. They don't. Now, he did a bunch of work with Meatloaf. He was in Meatloaf's touring band, I believe, in the late 70s, early 80s. He's done a ton of work, studio work with other artists. And he also got into this tribute album thing. So he would work with, there's a couple of different labels who just are known for putting out these tribute albums, especially with mostly hair metal and heavy metal legacy folks. They bring them together, and like I said, they do these supergroup collaborations and they put out these albums. So he's got one that he put out. Well, let me just go through the list. So he's done tribute albums, or he did tribute albums for Queen, Aerosmith, Kiss, Alice Cooper, Cher, Shania Twain, Iron Maiden, Beatles. He did the one with Lemmy that we played at Christmas time. So he's the one that did We Wish You a Metal Christmas and a Headbangin' New Year. And he did one for Sinatra that featured an all-star metal tribute to Frank Sinatra. I need to hear that one, actually.
I'm curious now.
But he's kind of the force behind that, along with Billy Sherwood, who's another guy that we'll talk about later. But Billy Sherwood is the bass player who took over for Chris Squire in Yes. So these two guys, for whatever reason, they are known for putting together these tribute albums. And I just mentioned all the ones that Bob's done. And the one that I'm going to play from, obviously, you could probably guess which one I'm going to play from. But I'm going to pull from one that I have a version of called Pure Fire, the Ultimate Kiss Tribute. Now, it's also had other titles. So for whatever reason, when they release these things, every couple of years they change the title and re-release it.
Because
I guess to get more people
will buy it, think it's a different album.
Yeah, so it was originally called Spin the Bottle, a tribute to Kiss. And the version I have is called Pure Fire, the Ultimate Kiss Tribute.
But it's the same exact.
But it's the same exact track listing. So we'll talk a little more about the record company that's putting these out, or a couple of companies that do this. But I'm going to play something. I think you'll know who this is as well. I don't really have to tell you the gentleman's name, but this is a kind of supergroup collaboration that I'm going to play from you. So I won't tell you who's on
see if
vocals,
I can pick it up.
But I will tell you who's playing guitar. So Bob Kulick is playing guitar on this. Makes sense. And then also Jennifer Batten. Do you remember that name?
Mm-mm.
So she was Michael Jackson's guitarist the last couple of years that Jackson was touring.
Okay.
So she's a badass. And then Samantha Maloney. You ever heard of her?
Mm-mm.
She was the drummer in Hole, who also was in Motley Crue when Tommy Lee left.
Oh, nice.
Which is interesting. And then, like I said, you got Bob and this other gentleman who's playing bass and doing some vocals. We'll see who this is.
Clue, bass player. have to say I'm kind of conflicted.
Conflicted.
Kind of conflicted here. I'm not sure how I feel about hearing Lemmy sing such a happy song. He's not usually one to tell you hey, I'm so happy. Let's shout it out loud. It's a good song when Kiss sings it. You're used to hearing a high cheese factor, but with Lemmy, I'm used to kind of hearing more darker subjects. F you, whatever. We're gonna kick your ass, break shit, sexual euphemisms, things like that. So that was interesting to put those two worlds together.
If he could have thrown in "I am the one orgasmatron," in the
something
middle
like
of that
that.
Somewhere.
Yeah, that would have brought it home for me. But obviously, it was very good. And that guitar player, I've already forgotten her name.
Jennifer Batten.
Yes,
Yeah, so
badass. That was some noodling that I have never heard before. That was interesting.
I would like to see how she actually did that because I couldn't really.
The physics.
My ears couldn't really tell exactly what
fingers?
she was doing.
You have like a third hand that comes up there and does something?
It was interesting to hear. I'm not going to say it added much to the song. It was cool to hear.
It was cool to hear.
But
it was like, let me show you what I can do.
I'm pretty sure she never heard anything Ace Frehley did because that had nothing to do with what Ace would have done.
Ace would have been like, what? Hey man, what was that?
He would have gotten the hammer on pull off.
Yeah.
So anyway, moving on. I think you're not gonna say that Kiss is not one of the Godz, right? Tribute to the Godz.
To them they are.
Yes, exactly. Well, here's another one. I don't think we can argue with this one. At least I hope you can't argue with this. And I'm talking about The Who.
The what?
The Who.
Oh.
The bloody Who. I am a huge Who fan. And this is another album that came out around the same time that one of my daughters was born. So I was listening to that Purple tribute album, and I was listening to this Who tribute album. This one's called Who Are You? An all-star tribute to The Who. And this came out on Cleopatra Records. Cleopatra is one of the record companies that puts out this content. For some reason, it's something they specialize in. They were primarily known as a goth and industrial label, and then they sort of branched out over the years. So this is like, I think, late 80s, maybe when they were first formed, which makes sense. Cleopatra Records, that sounds like a goth label. But they kind of branched out, and they have these other divisions of their record company where they focus on hair metal kind of legacy acts and 70s punk, legacy punk acts. And they put out a lot of these. I would say half of what we're listening to today came out on one of their, either on Cleopatra or one of their other labels that they own. And this is no different. This Who album also came out on it. And the song I'm going to play is one of the later Who tunes that I've always loved. And this is a version by a guy called Derek Sherinian. Does that name ring a bell?
Not a ding at all.
Okay. Well, we've actually talked about him on this show before.
Well, are you surprised?
I'm not surprised. So way back when we did our Degrees of Separation, King's X was, I think, maybe the first time we talked about him, but he was in one of the King's X offshoots band. He is a just amazing keyboard player. He was in Dream Theater for a little while.
Okay, yes.
And he played with Ty Tabor in one of his groups, and he's just been in a ton of different things. He's currently in Sons of Apollo, which has Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater, and Billy Sheehan's on bass, and just a crazy, really good prog band. So mostly prog music is what he's done. And he was also in the band with Joe Bonamassa and Glenn Hughes and Bonham, which was the Black Country Communion. And I don't think we've ever played that stuff.
No, I think we need to.
Yeah, you need to hear that. Jason Bonham again. I'm talking about Jason Bonham. But that's a great group as well. He was also in that band, and they did a couple albums that were kind of like new blues, classic rock. It's really
Was it
cool
originals?
Stuff. It was originals.
Well,
really good.
That's been my critique of Joe Bonamassa. Like, it matters at all that I have a critique of Joe Bonamassa. He's an amazing guitar player, but I've yet to get into him really heavily because it's all covers of other people's blues songs, which, hey, you know what? Led Zeppelin made a career of that, so what? But it just hasn't drawn me in. But if I could find some more original stuff that's a little bit less straightforward blues, I'll probably get into it a little bit more.
And maybe we'll dig into Black Country Communion because I think it's really cool stuff. And I'm a huge Glenn Hughes fan. So, but this particular song is listed as Derek Sherinian. So he must have been the one that said, I want to do this. And he got a couple of his friends to play with him. So not Joe Bonamassa on guitar. Instead, he got Mr. K.K. Downing from Judas Priest to play on this. So this is The Who with the Dream Theater keyboardist, K.K. Downing on guitar, and John Wetton, who is the bass player and lead singer for Asia, which is just a crazy mix. Now, John Wetton was also in King Crimson for a while and another prog band called UK, and even in Uriah Heep. So he was all over the board in the prog end back in the day.
Go figure. We saw Uriah Heep open for Judas Priest.
You're right.
That was a weird combination.
I actually loved it. I never thought I would see Uriah Heep.
Well, once again, that was, as I mentioned, a tribute band, except for the guitar player player was the only original member in the band, but still, it was
still cool,
a good example of them rocking it out. And yeah, it was just a weird compared to Judas Priest.
I would have never expected to see that combo.
No.
So here we are. We're going to play some Who, and this is one of my favorite songs of all time. It's called Eminence Front.
I've never thought about it, but I'd have to say that that's probably my favorite Who song also.
Really?
It's just,
Nice.
it's very different from a lot of the other stuff. So I don't know why I gravitate to that one that's different. I'm sure purists would say, no, it's got to be Bob O'Reilly or something like that. But to me, that groove on that song is amazing.
Yeah, it's
just
very
sucks you in.
simple, but man, you just get sucked into that groove.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the best songs that Pete Townsend ever wrote.
Absolutely.
And it was actually sung by Pete Townsend, which
Yeah.
is interesting.
That was a
for
different thing,
them
too.
to have a hit with one of his songs.
Yep. And back in the original version kind of reminds me of an Eric Clapton. Because that groove with a little heavier guitar on it. But this version makes me think more like Pink Floyd Animals.
I was thinking the same thing.
That electric piano.
And that's Derek Sherinian pulling in his prog
Is that
roots, and he's throwing a little Floyd into
and then the heavier guitar, like Gilmore's just
Yeah.
just playing over the top of that.
Yeah, I mean, that was KK Downing from Priest.
Yeah,
Can you
just
believe that? It's so
ripping that.
crazy, man.
It
Just
was
ripping
awesome
that.
guitars on that.
Really cool. So when I was maybe first year of college, so around 91 or so, I remember my sister came home one day. She got some new Ray-Ban glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And she also brought in, maybe it was later. Maybe I'd been in college, but it must have been later. Anyway, she got some new Ray-Bans, and she said, I got this CD when I bought my Ray-Bans. And it was...
Buy some sunglasses, get a CD.
Yeah, so, it was one of those promotional things, and she throws it to me, and it's called Shared Vision, sponsored by Ray-Ban, the songs of the Beatles. And I thought, okay, I'll check it out. It was interesting because it had some new covers on it, but it also had like those old staples that you've heard for years.
Mm-hmm.
So it had, Elton John's version of, was it Strawberry Fields or whatever it was from one of his albums in the 70s. It had the Joe Cocker song on it, A Little Help from My Friends. But it had some newer stuff. So it had PM Dawn doing a song. It had Salt and Pepper on there who had done
PM Dawn. I haven't heard that name in 25
and
years.
they were on the Stone Free disc as well, I believe. So they must have done a whole cover thing, doing hip hop and doing covers of rock songs. But it also featured a song by The Mission on it, who we've just done, and Extreme, which I thought was cool. But it also had this unknown band on it, which I'm going to play from, and the band is called Silverjet. And I remember listening to this and thinking, this is pretty cool. And then it was my sister's, so it wasn't my disc. So I just lost it. And a couple of years ago, I was doing search for something, looking for something on Amazon, and it popped up in one of those, you should buy this. And I thought, I remember that cover. And I remember that Kelly brought that home, and it was a Ray-Ban disc. And so I bought it. It was like $1. And I listened to it, and I just remember thinking, this band was so good. Who are they? This band called Silverjet, who I never heard of. So I did a little research, and they were a 90s power pop band from Southern California that came out right after the whole grunge explosion. So there were a whole ton of bands, in between that. They weren't grunge, but they were kind of considered alternative, when they were just scooping up all these bands and throwing them under that label of alternative. And this is one of them. And they released one album. It didn't come out until 97. This came out years before that. But when I did the research, I found out that they were produced by Tim Palmer. Now, we've just talked about Tim Palmer because he produced all of the great Mission albums.
Right.
And the Mission was on this disc. So I'm wondering if this band, who were on this disc with all these great known artists, maybe got onto this because of their connection with Tim Palmer, because the Mission were also on it.
It's all who you know.
I don't know if that's the story or not. You can hardly find anything about this band, but I think they do a really kick-ass version of Drive My Car by the Beatles, which there's a handful of Beatles songs that I really love. Drive My Car is one of them. It's one of their more rockin' tunes, and here's a version done by Silverjet.
thanks to that absolutely perfectly executed fade out at the end, I knew exactly when that song was going to end, and I was ready. All these other freaking bands out there just want to stop in the middle of the song, and they're like, oh, that's it.
Yeah, the fade out's a lost art.
Yeah, I mean, I might be having a sip of beer, doing something, staring off into the distance, but no, I was ready. The other thing is how it's amazing listening to that. Obviously, I know the original recordings, but the tribute, how clean and open and airy the recording was. There was so much space. I could hear every little thing that went on with every instrument. And 25 years later or so, if they did that today, it had freaking auto-tune on it. It would have 500 tracks of yodeling and all kinds of other weird stuff. So I don't know if they're allowed to do that these days. They get paid by the track and not by the song.
Yeah, perfectly executed. Don't know what happened to that band, but they were good.
Yeah, somebody out there knows about them. Send them a letter and tell them we mentioned them.
Let us know. Where do you stand with the Beatles? Obviously, they have to be up at the top. There would be no list of every band from the 70s without the Beatles, right?
No, so obviously,
where are you with them?
As a human being and a musician, I respect them. Obviously, loads and loads of talent. I mean, amazing songs. The songwriting skills, not just the musicianship, but the fact that you can re-record those songs 15 different ways, and it just shows it's a good song. Do I listen to them? No. Well, first of all, I've heard all of the good stuff in commercials and movies and TV shows, so I don't need to listen to them.
Yeah, pop culture is full of them.
We talked about this a couple episodes ago. The same thing as Rolling Stones. It's nothing derogatory towards them. It was just a little ahead of my time, even though in the 80s, when I was really starting to be aware of music and seek out music, it was only 20 years old at the time.
Right.
That's what's bizarre to think about, that old music was only 20 years old. And now, we're looking back 20 years as just a few days ago. So it's just a matter of perspective. At the time when you're 18 years old, 20 years old was before I was born. And so therefore, that's old people music. And I never went back to relearn, although I did, once again, 70s bands, Led Zeppelin, those types of things, Pink Floyd. Yeah. So I just moved it forward a few years. So that's all I can say is there's no disrespect to them at all. They're amazing. It just didn't pull me in.
Yeah, for some reason, when I was a teenager, my good friend Joey Hall, huge Beatles fan, introduced me to a lot of the stuff that I didn't know about. But to me, I had no problem going back and listening to The Who, their early 60s output, which all of it's kind of campy when you go back.
Yes.
It didn't age well. When you listen to the Beatles, the Stones, the Who, the early stuff I'm talking about, those bands all progressed into what I consider more of their sound as they went on. And even the Beatles, the later Beatles stuff, that's really their true sound from where they started. But for some reason, I never could get past the camp with the Beatles.
Yeah, that was part of it.
Even though I appreciate and enjoy a lot of the songs, I don't celebrate their catalog like I do, say, the Who or the Stones or the Kinks even. I'm like the other 60s British bands to me had more impact on me. But I definitely respect them, and I won't tell you that I don't own all their albums, because I do.
Yeah, well, yes.
I feel like if you listen to rock music, you got to have the Beatles.
It's a good place to start and build that library of knowledge. And I did. Like I said, I'd heard them and listened to them, but as far as studying, that started about 3 years after the Beatles. All the bands that came in right after them. That was kind of what I went back and studied and listened to and read about and listened to interviews about. So I just didn't go back that far.
Now, 180 degrees the other way, a band that you and I will just gush about is where I'm going to go next, and this band is called Pink Floyd.
Who?
Yes.
Oh, the Who. Yeah, the Pink Floyd. The Pink Floyd, as I've learned recently.
The Pink Floyd.
I never knew that it was the Pink Floyd for the first few years.
Now, we did a covers show.
Yes, we did.
For your birthday, all about Pink Floyd. But there was one song I didn't get to play, and I thought, well, here's my forum, because we're paying tribute to the Godz. Pink Floyd, absolutely up there, one of the...
And David Gilmour, guitar god.
Yeah, David Gilmour, guitar god, and just an amazing band that will never be duplicated. I'm going to play... This is off of an album. I guess I should set it up first. So this is off of a tribute album called Back Against the Wall, a tribute to Pink Floyd. I mentioned this guy earlier, Billy Sherwood. So he is now the bass player in Yes. When Chris Squire passed away, Chris had previously said, if I go, I want Billy to replace me.
Oh, he handpicked him.
He handpicked him. Yeah, he was in Yes as a guitarist and as a kind of backup guy for a while. And he was kind of Chris Squire's protege. But he also did all of this studio work and mostly working on tribute albums and collaborations session type of work with a lot of prog bands and prog artists. And so the song I'm going to play is off of a Billy Sherwood produced tribute album. I mean, just amazing. Glenn Hughes on vocals, Elliot Easton from the Cars on guitar, Tony Franklin on bass guitar, who has played with The Firm. He played with David Gilmour, Kate Bush, Whitesnake, Blue Murder, go on and on. Ainsley Dunbar on drums, who's just world renowned. He was Frank Zappa, Lou Reed, Jefferson Starship, you name it. He's played with them. Bob Kulick on guitar, and Billy Sherwood on keyboards. And it's so weird that they have Glenn Hughes singing but not playing bass, but I'll take Tony Franklin. He's an amazing bass player, and he plays fretless bass, and perfect for this song. I'm going to play Young Lust.
That's your residence, sir? I wonder why you come out. Is there supposed to be someone else there beside your wife, sir, to answer?
Hello.
This is the United States calling. How are you reaching? You keep hanging up. And it's the man answering.
Nice. That was a nice ending.
Nice
to it.
added touch at the end,
Yeah,
right?
that wasn't the original phone call, was that?
No,
They had to
that
re-record that. That was
redone.
really close, though.
Was.
I was having to listen really closely to see that was re-recorded. And you know the story of that phone call, and I'll get it wrong, but I think David Gilmour was in L.A. and was calling back, and Roger Waters was the one picking up the phone, and so they planned it, and he'd hang up, but they had to try it. This was like the 10th time they did it to get the operator to get concerned, because the first couple times they were like, okay, hung up, but this one we got concerned.
We don't care.
Oh, so there's a man answering the phone.
Right.
But anyway, back to the tribute song. That's one of Pink Floyd's simpler songs, not psychedelic at all, straightforward rock songs.
Very 70s classic rock.
Classic rock.
Yeah,
and that's what they were going for. It was behind the scenes at a rock show,
right?
With the scenes in the wall. But yeah, so they needed to add something to it. And I, like you mentioned, the fretless bass really does stand out in that song, because there's not much else they can do to really jazz it up.
And Elliot Easton on guitar, I would never have thought
hearing him metal like
guy
that
from the Cars could do what
jingly
he did.
jangly car songs. Then all of a sudden he just lets it rip in that. And I always forget about him. Obviously with and Benjamin Orr is the other guitar. He gets credit obviously with Drive, and he's known as the guitar player for the Cars. But the other one's really good too. So it's nice to hearing him get some credits out there.
Yeah, I love that version. I don't know if you remember, but in the episode that we did for your birthday, I gave you an option at the very end to pick, because I had all these Pink Floyd songs that I wanted to play, and this was the one that I thought you were going to pick.
You're ready to go.
And you picked the other one, and I'm like, oh, I really wanted to hear this version, because I just think it's
you
so
should have just played
good.
it anyway.
Right.
Oops, that's it.
Oh, wow.
I like them all. I celebrate their entire library.
Exactly. Definitely one of the rock and roll gods.
Yes.
And I think this artist also deserves to be in that list, and I'm talking about Alice Cooper. So we're going to play something from an album that has several names. The one I have is called Welcome to the Nightmare, an all-star tribute to Alice Cooper. The digital version that I got of this is listed as coming out in 2005. Now, when I did a little research on this is another Bob Kulick joint, right? This is another tribute album that Bob put together, and I find out it was actually released in 1999 under the title Humanary Stew.
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
It's part of a lyric from Welcome to My Nightmare. So
Humanary?
Humanary Stew, yes.
Okay.
So it's had several titles, but the re-release version that I got in 2005 was Welcome to the Nightmare. There's another tribute album to Alice Cooper called Welcome to Our Nightmare, so don't get confused out there. And this is really funny, because the version that I have list for this song I'm going to play, which is Elected, which is a great Alice Cooper tune off of $1 Billion Babies, it lists the artist as Duff McKagan. Okay, that makes sense. Guns N' Roses bass player. Awesome. On guitar, it lists Billy Buffy. Billy Buffy. I think they were trying to say
Duffy?
Billy Duffy.
Okay.
But it's listed on the track that I purchased as Billy Buffy, and the drummer is Matt Serum instead of Matt Sorum.
So was this on purpose?
I don't know, but I thought that was really funny.
No, the serum thing, meaning like maybe with the macabre or something.
No,
to do with horror.
I just think it's just a screw up on the
a bad tube.
It's a bad file that I got, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I see.
Yeah. So I think
it's not printed on the
this
album.
thing. No. This is the digital file that I got.
Oh,
and this
no,
is
they
who,
totally didn't know.
This is who this lists as the artist. The funny thing is, so I thought, okay, obviously they got Billy Duffy wrong and Matt Sorum. Now, when I actually look up the album that came out, the actual physical copy, it lists Duff McKagan. Okay, that checks. Matt Sorum. They obviously got it wrong. But the guitarist is not Billy Duffy at all. It's Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols.
They really got it wrong. Complete misspelling of Billy Duffy's name.
Yeah, so here's Duff McKagan, Steve Jones, and Matt Sorum playing Elected. So here's a little dirty punk.
Maybe Billy was in the
version.
room when they recorded or something. Who knows?
I don't know. Check it out.
Take it to the daddy in a gold Rolls Royce. I wanna
What a topically timely selection that was.
I was thinking the same thing.
That was perfect.
The first day of President Biden.
Yeah,
today.
We got a new regime. There was a certain ex-president that was probably his favorite song for a while. I'm going to be elected or selected or just put me in there again, maybe.
If you could just find 11,000 votes.
If you could just, it's in that box, the suitcase that's under the table, baby. I'll be back 4 years. I'll be back in some form. That was his parting words. I'll be back in some shape or form, matter. I might morph into a character you don't recognize.
Did he really make a comment like that?
He did.
Oh boy.
He just talks and words come out.
Boy.
The word salad thing. So, yeah.
Anyway. So back to this. That sounded to me like Guns N' Roses with the Sex Pistols guitars.
It absolutely did. That was going to be my comment. Where was Axl? Come on, just throw him in there.
I love Duff singing. I think it's really cool when there were a couple of GNR tunes that he sang on. Mm. And I always thought it was cool because he always had that kind of punk rock edge. So him with Steve Jones makes perfect sense. I don't know if Billy Buffy was anywhere around, but Buffy could have been there.
The guitar slayer. Billy Buffy, the guitar slayer. That's exactly who they were thinking of.
It was so funny. All right, so there are a couple of gods that we've yet to talk about, and next god of rock music that we need to go to, or gods, would be a band called The Doors.
Yeah,
we're not talking about them. But there's an awesome, awesome tribute album that came out in the year 2000 called Stoned Immaculate, the music of The Doors. And what was cool about this is it was featured on VH1 Storytellers. Do you remember that show?
Yeah.
So they would bring people back to kind of talk about their songs and go through them. And
it's kind of behind the music.
Yeah,
kind of
like
live, yeah.
Kind of like unplugged with behind the music combined. And anyway, they brought The Doors back, the surviving members, let's just say. Jim Morrison was not there. And they would go through and talk about the songs. And what they did is they brought in a bunch of guest vocalists. And so that kind of, I guess, got the ball rolling for, we should put out this tribute album at the same time. We're going to do this VH1 thing. And then they actually ended up going on tour. Now, I did not see this. Did you see it?
No.
I remember it came to Chastain here in Atlanta, which I thought was a weird venue to see The Doors with.
Yeah, but think of the clientele. There's going to be people at the time that we were in their 50s. And that's a good place for a 50-year-old to go see a concert.
That's true. And now we're in our 50s. Or you are.
Got it.
But the vocalist that they toured with was none other than Ian Astbury from The Cult, which makes perfect sense.
Well, I've seen Alice Cooper at that same concert venue you just talked about, and it was very odd. But I was with you, so yeah.
Oh, okay, that was the same time. I didn't know if you gone.
No, he made this. Chastain is in the middle of a very wealthy neighborhood, and I'm not kidding. It's in a neighborhood.
It is.
And so they have to shut down promptly at 10:45 or 11.
Before 11, they have to cut the music because there are
hard cut.
There are literally houses that they can stand on their back deck of their house and look down because it's in the hills, and they can look down and see the show.
And these are fancy houses too, so they've got a lot of power. So anyway, Alice Cooper gets booked there, and normally they have concerts that you can bring food, and they have tables set up.
Cheese and wine. A lot of people bring their wine, and they listen to acoustic music.
Yeah, James like Taylor, and whatever. So Alice is on stage, and he stops in the middle or in between songs and goes, "I have to say, this is the first time people have been eating wine and cheese at one of my concerts."
Well, I remember it going like this. Are you eating cheese and drinking wine at an Alice Cooper concert?
Exactly. That's how it was.
He was in full Alice mode.
It was just, and it was surreal. People
know I'm going to be cutting my head off
having
later.
Champagne, toasting Alice Cooper, who's about to cut his head off.
And that was also the time that he pulled some kid out of the front row that was obviously planted there. He had a T-shirt on. I believe it was Marilyn Manson, and he goes, he's a phony. And he pulled the kid out with his Marilyn Manson shirt on, and I think that's when Frankenstein did something with him. But
threw in the blender or something.
Yeah, whatever it was.
Yeah, one of his interviews, somebody asked him about Marilyn Manson. He's like, horror themed rock band with a woman's name, real original.
So anyway, I do want to go to this album that came out that spawned all of this Doors collaboration back in 2000. And again, it's called Stoned Immaculate, the music of the Doors. It had all sorts of bands that you would know on it. Everyone from The Cult, Scott Weiland, STP did something. What's the dude from Creed? Scott Stapp, I believe.
Stapp.
Yeah, Creed is actually on it. Perry Farrell's on it. So it's got all the names of the 2000.
Yeah, who was big at the time?
Yeah, the 2000 kind of guys that were out there. And it also has a couple of bands that you may not remember. So we're going to play one of those. And this band's called Oleander. Do you remember
Yes.
that? So I believe, correct me if I'm
local?
wrong. I don't think they were local, but I do believe that they played Music Midtown, and I want to say that I watched them.
Yeah, we've seen them.
But yeah, because it just, I remember seeing, if I'm thinking correctly, it wasn't Alice in Chains. I think it was just Jerry. It must have been the Jerry Cantrell solo band.
I saw that with you.
I believe Oleander and then Cheap Trick, if I'm not mistaken. So we have seen this band.
I remember the stage setup even. Yeah, it's very, very vivid.
Yeah, so another one of those post-grunge bands that got kind of thrown in the mix of all the alternative stuff that was going on past the Seattle scene in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. And I looked them up. They did Woodstock 99. I was there at Woodstock 99. I do not remember seeing them there. I remember seeing a whole lot of other stuff, which we can talk about in some other episodes. But I did not see Oleander there. But they were featured in American Pie, huge 90s movie.
Yeah.
Scary Movie, another huge 90s movie. So they did well. But
I only remember one song of theirs, but I know they had a couple other not quite hits that made it on the radio a couple of times.
Yeah, so I've kind of gone back and revisited them a little bit. I don't think I gave them a chance back then, but they're not bad. They have that sound though.
Yeah.
It
full
was
on
a
90s.
a very late 90s kind of prescribed sound, and unfortunately they have it because so many bands had that sound that it was hard to tell who's who. But they do an excellent version of Hello, I Love You, and I'm going to play that now.
Tell me your name. Hello, I love you, let me jump in your game. Hello, I love you, won't you tell me your name? Hello, I love you, let me jump in your game. She's walking down the street, blind to every eye she meets. Do you think that she'll be the guy to make the queen of the angels side? Hello, I love you, won't you tell me your name? Hello, I love you, let me jump in your game. Hello, I love you, won't you tell me your name? Hello, I love you, let me jump in your game. She holds her head so high, like a statue in the sky. Her arms are wicked and her legs are long. When she moves, my brain screams out this song. Hey! Sidewalk crowd sits at her feet, like a dog in baseball, something sweet. Do you hope to make her see you? Do you hope to block this schedule? Hello, hello,
Well, they managed to put quite a bit of heat into that song.
I know, right?
Liven that thing up a little bit.
I love that jam at the end,
Yeah.
that kind of slow down halftime thing they do. I remember they were good live. I remember
You got a
thinking
better memory than me.
Well, I didn't even know.
Obviously.
I didn't even know if it was them, but I
Yeah.
kind of thought it was them. But I remember thinking, "Oh, this band's pretty good." I just didn't pursue it after
Right.
that. But how much did that guy in the beginning? How much did he sound like Mark Bolan from T-Rex? It sounds like T-Rex playing a Doors song.
Wow. Okay.
Go back and
I'll have to listen to it, yeah.
The very beginning. Now, when he changed his vocal styles, he went through the song
Yeah.
and got more rasping.
Yeah, he has these two-tone voices.
Yeah.
They can kind of sing, light and then just kick it into overdrive.
Very interesting band. I definitely probably go check out some of their stuff and see if I can get into it, get over the sound.
What was the single? I Can't Love You Anymore. Dun, 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 scared of the song. I can sing the song, but I don't know the name of it. But it's one of the many songs.
Do not
like
know.
that.
I have to go check it out. All right, I got one more for you.
All right.
And definitely tribute to this band, a god, true gods of rock and roll. And I'm talking about Aerosmith.
Yeah, okay.
You're not going to put Aerosmith in that category?
Well, God, this is going to get us some hate mail. My mailbox is going to be full of hate mail. They're in the same category for me as the Beatles.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, really.
Interesting.
I've heard the 3 classic hits 5 million times. Then in the 90s, they came back and had another resurgence.
80s they came back.
Late 80s, mid to late 80s. But for me, I'm sorry, I'm getting my decades mixed up. You're right. Late 80s, had a resurgence, had some big songs.
And some big songs in the 90s.
And then I kind of, after like the third one that sounded about the same, they figured out a formula for these, big power ballad type songs that it lost me again. So I just, I listen to it. I'm like, yeah, that's a good song, but I don't crave it.
See,
I'll turn the channel half the time.
I love everything they put out from 73 until around 89, which Pump came out in 89. I like Get a Grip, which came out after Pump, but everything they put out, even the albums that didn't have Joe Perry on them, I thought they were great. Something about the way that Steven Tyler sings. And
amazing vocalist. He is a frontman extraordinaire.
Stonesy, dirty grit mixed with that Boston attitude. I don't know. I dig the band.
They work their ass off to get to where they are and deserve every bit of it. It's just something that it just doesn't, just blends in with a lot of other stuff for me.
Well, you're going to like this version of this, one of their 3 hits that you've heard a million times. But I think you're going to like this version because...
I like to hear it a different way.
Yeah, this is a collaboration song that was on another one of these Cleopatra compilations, and this comes from a 4-disc set. It's crazy the number of songs that are on here.
That's a lot of songs. It's a lot of compilation.
Yeah, it's called Hair, Metal, and Covers, and I got it I think it came out in 2009, but I think they just repackaged a bunch of stuff and put it in one bundle and called it Hair, Metal, and Covers.
Saved on shipping.
Yeah. So this is a collaboration between Yngwie Malmsteen and Ronnie James Dio.
Okay, hang on. I got to limber up. Okay, Yngwie's getting in here. I got to listen.
Now, when I think Aerosmith, I think, I need to get Yngwie and Ronnie James Dio together to do some Aerosmith.
Totally in their wheelhouse.
Right? So not only is it those two guys, but playing the bass is none other than Mr. Stu Hamm, who was Joe Satriani's bass player. So he's one of these virtuoso dudes. He's done solo stuff as well. Greg Bissonette, who is another Joe Satriani alum. He also played drums for David Lee Roth. And Paul Taylor on keyboards, who was with Winger.
That's where I knew him from.
Yeah, Paul Taylor's actually in Nashville now, I believe.
They all are.
They probably all are.
Everybody's in Nashville.
So you've got Guns on this track, and when I think of an Aerosmith power ballad, these are the guys I typically would go to play this power ballad. So
this is a ballad about rainbows and mountains.
check out this version of Dream On by these cats.
Yngwie played more notes in the intro of that song before the lyrics started. He played more notes there than Joe Perry played on the entire album.
You're probably right.
Good Lord, have mercy.
You ever seen Yngwie live?
No,
Me neither.
It would be a blur. What the hell did
I
you
really
just
want to
do?
see him now because he's like fat and bloated old.
Oh,
Yngwie.
is he?
I really want to go see that.
Yeah.
And he's really ornery now. Not a happy guy on stage, from what I
really?
understand. So
Oh, you want to hear me play? Fuck off.
yeah,
Oh, you just paid for this? Whatever.
I totally got to see that.
Is he toured little fat fingers now? Can he play as many notes with the fat fingers?
I think he can still play.
Okay. Well, that's all that matters.
Yeah. I did see Dio once. You saw
Yeah,
Dio?
we saw him together. I'm thankful that I got to see him. There's a lot of people that I wish I got a chance to see. Lemmy, but
I saw Motorhead once.
You
Yeah.
lucky bastard.
With Wasp. Wasp and Motorhead.
Damn, and Wasp, that's another one. Both of them. Oh my God. I didn't know you saw them together.
Yeah.
And that's another one. I was late to the Wasp ball game. I didn't. Your iPod, once again, listen to your iPod. They kept coming up. I'm like,
Because there's all 30 albums on there, probably.
yeah. But I'm like, damn, those guys just edgy
Oh, yeah.
rock, but on the
Very
extreme
similar.
edge.
Very similar to Motorhead. in
Yeah.
Attitude.
Just
and
kick your
what they
ass.
did.
We're going to drink. I'm blind in Texas. And, just no holds barred. Just in your face rock. So anyway, miss you, Ronnie James Dio.
I
Miss
know,
you,
right?
man. He could take a serious song and make it seriouser. And mysterious.
But I could still see him, giving the devil horns
yeah.
as he's singing Dream On.
Yeah, nobody can see us doing it, but there's a swoop to the devil horns as he puts it out there.
And
Style.
a fist in one hand.
Yeah, and devil horns, yes.
Yeah. Oh, well. That's
True
what I
God,
have for
True
you.
Gods. Thank you. That was
Tribute to the gods. Now,
Tribute to the Godz Hall of Fame.
did we leave anybody out? That
Yeah, of course we did.
Who do you think we...
Well, don't put me on the spot.
Oh.
But yeah, I'm sure we did, because that means we'll have to have
Oh, we'll have to have more of
another
these.
episode.
How about that?
Yes.
So tell us who we left out. Who's a true rock god? Who's on the pedestal? I can think of several right now off the top of my head now that I'm thinking about it. But
Well, when you say God, obviously we've all been talking about late 60s and 70s bands.
well, and that's what I think of. When I think of who are the rock gods, I'm thinking of
It kind of stops, and then the rest of them are just really good bands.
there
but
weren't that
the
many
rock
after that.
gods.
Maybe Guns N' Roses you might add, or you might add a
Like they're on their
Van
way
Halen,
there.
yeah.
The fact that they were just touring recently, I think part of the Godz factor is they're not around.
or they
I-
establish a sound that everybody's still
Yes,
copying. That's
exactly.
what I think of.
And
is
nobody's
they
copying
set
Guns
up-
N' Roses. These, even though they're true God status, you don't find bands copying them. Versus Led Zeppelin, yes, we've got to this
we
day.
got a few of those,
we got
yeah.
a couple of those that are copying them. So yeah, I think that's part of it. But there's not anything recent that I can think of that maybe they will be someday. But that was kind of a period of time there, about 10 to 15 years, and that's it.
Interesting, right? That
Yeah.
we're still drawing from all of that stuff.
Of course, you got to put Rush in there, but they're 70s too.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. We'll just
How
have
come
an
you-
episode 2.
Yeah,
coming up.
I'm looking at you side eye for not mentioning them. I'm calling you out on your own
Well,
favorite band.
We have done a Beyond the Covers, and we featured a Tom Sawyer cover. So I did stray
But
away.
This was an opportunity to play a Rush song.
Well,
on
damn it, we'll do
our
it
podcast.
next time.
We don't get that many opportunities because we are obscure.
You're right. We'll do it next time.
Okay, do it next time.
All right. That's all I have. You got anything else, Robert, before
That
we
was
get
good.
out of here?
No, I'm going to get a snack. I'm hungry.
All right. We're getting out of here. We'll see you next time. Later.
What is that? What? I was just sitting there and you were all quiet. What are you doing?
Ronnie James Dio.